You wake up and go to work, then give it everything. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, if this actually worked, wouldn't I be further ahead by now? Not broke, not failing, just not winning. And if you're honest, you don't buy it anymore. You don't buy the idea that ownership is the answer, because if that were true, we'd already see it working. Good, let's test that. Not theories, not opinions, just what's already happening. Start at the top. The highest paid people in the system don't get paid like you. The median CEO of an S&P 500 company makes about $17 million a year. That's from pay governance data. And according to the Equilar and Associated Press CEO pay study, over 70% of their pay comes from stock. Not salary, not hourly ownership, and it's not rare. Across corporate America, stock awards are the largest component of CEO compensation. That's straight from Equilar's proxy data analysis. So stop right there. If ownership didn't work, why is it the primary way the top gets paid? Now let's go one level down. Not executives, regular companies, workers. There are thousands of companies in the US where employees have ownership. They're called ESOPs. And here's what actually happens. A study from Stout looking at hundreds of ESOP companies found they returned about 17% annually, outperforming the S&P 500. Research summarized by Menka shows ESOP companies grow faster, have higher productivity, and lower turnover than non-ESOP companies. And research from the National Center for Employee Ownership shows workers in these companies stay longer and build significantly more retirement wealth. That's not a theory, that's not someday, that's already happening. I am Lady T in for Citizen T, and here's the part that doesn't sit right. We don't have a lack of proof, we have a lack of access. Ownership works at the top, proven. Ownership works across entire companies, proven. So the question isn't, does it work? It's, why isn't it everywhere? Here's the simple principle. Wages pay you for your time. Ownership pays you for the outcome. Executives get paid for outcomes. Most people get paid for time. That's the gap. Now let's be real. You've got bills, you've got risk. You don't have 10 years to wait and hope something pays off. And yeah, the system isn't built to just hand you ownership. But here's what matters. ESOP companies didn't remove wages. They still pay a salary. And in many cases, they still offer 401k plans alongside ownership. Ownership wasn't a replacement, it was an addition. Which means this idea that ownership makes workers unstable doesn't hold up. Because we already have thousands of companies proving you can have steady income, long-term wealth, and stronger performance at the same time. There's a name for this idea. Ownership-based pay. OBP, not as a pitch, as an explanation. For why two people can work just as hard in the same building and end up in completely different financial lives. So what do you actually do with this? Not everything changes overnight, but a few things can. Start asking where you work. Is there any form of ownership here? Because a lot of people don't miss out, they just never ask. When you look at your next opportunity, I'd say don't just compare pay. Ask, does this grow with me? Or does it stop when I clock out? Because that difference compounds. And even outside of work, start building something you own. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to exist. Because once you own even a little, you start thinking differently. A quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. Use this as perspective, not instruction, and always do your own research. So if you're skeptical, good, but aim that skepticism in the right direction. Because the evidence is already in. Ownership works. So pay attention to where your effort goes, because the goal isn't just to earn, it's to stop building a life where you own nothing. Like and subscribe. We are Citizen T, forge the future. OBP is the way.